Hello, this is Jamie with Creations Misfit, and today we're going to make an octopus plushie. So this is what the octopus looks like, and today you will need some what I'm going to use is size 6 blanket yarn, but really you can use any yarn you want. It doesn't have to be plushie. You really can use anything you want. But if you want to make what I'm making today, I'm using a size 6 blanket yarn, Bernat blanket, and a size 6.5 millimeter hook. If you don't have 6.5 millimeter, you can go up to 7, go down to 6. You can use a 5 even. It will just make your project a little bit smaller or larger than mine. But really, you can use whatever size you want. And then you will need some scissors, a yarn needle to sew in our ends, a stitch marker, and a pair of safety eyes. I'm going to use 10 millimeter safety eyes. You can use whatever size you want. I've used 9 and 12 as well. All right, so let's make an octopus. I have a couple here that I've made already. So this makes a pretty good size. It's not like one of the small pocket ones, but it's pretty good. I would say like a medium size if you're using what I'm using. And to start out, you will be using a magic circle. And with this yarn, sometimes it's hard to pull the magic circle tight. If you want to just do 4 chains and then slip stitch into the first chain, you can go inside of that instead. But I'm going to do a magic circle. I will put a link to my magic circle tutorial in the description box below if you need a little bit more help. Otherwise, just do your magic circle. I just go around like this, go under, over, and then you're going to chain 1. I just chain while it's still on my hands. Okay, so there's your magic circle. Okay, I wanted to zoom in a little bit. All right, so inside, for round 1, inside the magic circle, we're going to do 6 single crochet. So just do 6. You might want to mark your very first one, or you might want to wait until next round. It doesn't matter. Sometimes it's kind of hard to see with the blanket yarn where your stitches are. I'm just going to mark that first one. And then there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then you'll pull on this to close the magic circle. Okay, so for round 2, we are going to do 2 single crochet in every stitch around. So here's my very first stitch. You want to make sure you go into that one and do your first single crochet. And then make sure that you mark that stitch, your very first stitch, because we're just going to keep working in the round. And it's easier if you know where you started. Okay, so 2 single crochet in that stitch, and then in every stitch around. So at the end of this round, you will have 12 single crochets. You can go ahead and pause the video, and I'll meet you back at the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you have 12 stitches, and then we will move on to round 3. So for round 3, we're going to do a single crochet in that very first stitch, and then mark our stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to do 2 single crochet. And it is kind of hard to see the stitches with the blanket yarn, so just do your best. I mean, if you don't get right into the stitch, if you get under a little bit or something, that's okay with this pattern. And then that will be your pattern all the way around. You'll do 1 single crochet in the next and then 2 in the next. And at the end of round 3, you will have 18 stitches. And moving on to round 4, we are going to do a single crochet in the first stitch and mark that. Oops. And then a single crochet in the second stitch. And then we're going to do our increase after that. So in the third stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochet. And that will be your pattern all the way around. So at the end of round 4, you will have 24 single crochet. I forgot to mention, or maybe I did, I don't know. I started this video a couple different times. You'll also need polyfill to stuff your octopus. So sorry if I didn't mention that. But yeah, any kind of fill, or even if you have like yarn scraps, you could use that as well. All right, so moving on to round 5. For rounds 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, for the next 5 rounds, we're just going to do 1 single crochet in every stitch around. So you will have 24 single crochets at the end of each of those rounds. So do 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and then we will meet back up. At the end of round 9, you should have something that looks something like this. And we're going to put our eyes in now. So go ahead and grab your safety eyes and just be, wary about giving this to any very small children because these can be very dangerous, these safety eyes. All right, so I put mine usually between like rows 6 and 7. So if you want to count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I just put them somewhere in between there. Put one safety eye on and put the back on. Make sure it's closed tight or pushed tight in the back. Okay, sorry about that. I just bought a new pack and it's like the backs were too small for them. So I did both of mine already. I usually do about 7 stitches in between the eyes, but it's just your preference. Okay, so just make sure the backs are on real tight and then we will get started on round 10. So for round 10, we're going to do a single crochet in the first stitch. And then when you mark that stitch, just mark the front loop only, if you can see it, because we're going to end up going into the front loops later when we do the tentacles. So mark that stitch, just the front loop. And then in the second stitch, we're going to do a decrease. So usually for amigurumi, I do an invisible decrease where we just go through the front loops of both stitches, but for this, because the tentacles are going to come down, you're not even going to notice that. So just do a regular decrease. We're going to do 2 single crochets together. So just go into the first stitch and pull up a loop like you're doing a regular single crochet, but then go into the next stitch and pull up a loop as well. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over and pull through all 3. So that way you're doing single crochet 2 together. Okay, and then in the next stitch, we're going to do a regular single crochet. And then in the next stitch, we're going to decrease again. And that will be your pattern all the way around. So go into the first stitch, go into the second stitch, yarn over and pull through all 3. And go ahead and do that all the way around. And I will meet you back at the end of round 10. At the end of round 10, you'll have 16 stitches and you should end with a decrease. So now we're going to stuff. So just kind of pull that up a little bit and start stuffing your octopus head. What's nice about these is it doesn't take a whole lot of stuffing compared to like, I'm going to do a bee pattern here shortly. I mean, everybody kind of has bees out right now. It's very similar to everybody else's, but I figure I'd put it on my channel as well. But those take so much stuffing, even though they're not very big. All right, so stuff to your liking, and you can kind of shape it a little bit. Put just a little more in. And then we will start with round 11. So we're almost done with the head part here. So for round 11, we're going to do single crochets around in every stitch, but we're just going to go in the back loop only. So this stitch marker needs to stay here because we're going to need that for the tentacles. So just go into that back loop here, and then the back loop of every stitch around. It's maybe a little bit hard to see, but you can do it. I have faith in you. So just count your stitches this round unless you want to grab another stitch marker to mark, but I just count them here. So just do 1 in every stitch around and you will have 16 at the end of round 11. At the end of round 11, you'll have 16 stitches, and then we just have 1 more round for the body or for the head. So for this last round, we are just going to do decreases all the way around. Okay, and you'll have 8 at the end of this round. So just go ahead and put 2 together again. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then go ahead and stuff if you need to stuff a little bit more. I usually do just a little bit more here at the end. Push it down into the sides. And then you can tie off. You can either just do a chain and pull your yarn through, or if you want to slip stitch into the next one, the next stitch, and then go ahead and cut your yarn, leave kind of a long tail because we have to sew in. And then just pull through and get your yarn needle. Jeez, nail polish. And then I just go underneath each stitch all the way around. I try to go through just one of the loops, like the front loop, but with the blanket yarn, it's sometimes hard to see, so it's okay if you just go under each stitch. And pull tight. And that should close up the bottom. And then you're just going to want to, you can do like a knot if you want. I do like a knot first, just to secure it. And then you can just go through, put your needle through and go through the body somewhere, or the head. I keep calling it the body. And you can cut your yarn there if you'd like. I usually like to do it twice. I just go back through, go right through the stuffing. Just don't pull too tight because it will leave a little indent there. And then go ahead and cut your yarn. So we have the head, and we just have to do the tentacles now. So grab your yarn again, and we are going to insert our yarn where this hook is, or where the stitch marker is. So go ahead and take that out, and we're just going to go in that one loop. Remember, we just put it in the front loop. So we're just going to go into that front loop, reattach our yarn, and do a chain. And then from there, we're going to chain up 19. Okay, when you have your 19, we're just going to single crochet back down the chain. So we'll have 18. We're not going to single crochet into that very first chain. That was just to secure it. So we're going to start the second chain and do a single crochet all the way down. And you should have 18 by the time you get to the base again. So I'll meet you right back. All right, I finished my 18, and we are going to slip stitch into the next stitch. Now it's kind of hard to see sometimes, but if you can see, like, there's the ribbing where we just did the back loop only. So I don't know how to explain it. I can see it pretty clearly on mine, but I know it's kind of hard to see. Like, here are when we did the back loop only, we let these front loops kind of stand out a little bit, so I can see mine pretty clearly here. Just do your best to get into the next one, and we're going to do a slip stitch. Okay, so slip stitch into the next one, And then you can see here, the next one is right there. We're going to slip stitch into that one. And then we're going to chain up 19 again. And then just on your way back from your 19, you're going to do a single crochet in starting in the second loop, do a single crochet all the way down for 18, and then I'll see you back. All right, at the end, when you have 18, we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch. Sorry if you can hear that. The snow plows are like right outside my window. All right, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next one. So we're doing a slip stitch and then doing a second slip stitch, and that's the one where we chain up 19. So just go ahead and keep doing that pattern all the way around until you have 8 tentacles, and I will meet you back then to show you how to close off and be finished. All right, after your eighth tentacle, you should have one little stitch left. If you have 2 left, or you don't have 1 left or something, it's okay. This pattern doesn't have to be perfect. Nobody's going to notice if, you know, 1 tentacle is 1 stitch closer or 1 stitch further away. But if you have 1 left, go ahead and slip stitch into that one. And then you're going to slip stitch back to the very first one. So just slip stitch under that one. You can go right under the tentacle if you want. And then make a chain and tie off, and tie or cut like a long piece of yarn here. All right, so there's your octopus, and we're just going to thread our needle here and tie in our loose ends. Actually, you know, if you have that piece, I always have a small piece here from where we started, where we put our hook back in. I usually tie a knot there first, like 1 or 2 knots, and then make sure you put that little piece through too. You want to weave in your ends with that one, and you could just go straight through the body to like the bottom or wherever you want. Just pull that little one through and cut it. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I have a lot of other tutorials if you'd like to take a look at those. And also, if you could please like this video, and if you'd like to leave a comment, that would be really helpful too. It does help my channel. And if you're not subscribed and you'd like to, I'd be really appreciative. Like I said, it helps the algorithm so that you get seen more, and I can keep putting out content where people will be able to, you know, search it and it will come up. These algorithms are crazy. It's like if you haven't been on for a while, you don't get seen as much. And so any help I can get is great. And I'd love to hear any of your comments, how this worked out for you. If you have any questions, anything like that, I'm happy to help. All right, so when we're done with this, we are finished. I'm just going to pull my camera. Whoops, I messed up when I pulled the camera up. I turned it off. So there's our octopus. We're all done. And again, thank you so much for being here. Please like, comment, subscribe. If you're on social media, I am at Creations Misfit on TikTok and on Instagram. And you can tag me in your project. I would love to see it, and I'd love to hear from you. So thank you again for being here, and I hope to see you in another video soon. Bye.